Hi, this is Adam Marsh from Ledge Inc. and today I'm excited to talk about PPAPs, how we can use technology to help manufacturers to address PPAPs, make them easier, and just kind of go over what our customers are doing with them, discuss are we charging with them, why customers, why those OEMs are asking for different things every time we do a PPAP, and really trying to dive into some of our solutions for how to make this process easier. So I'd like to dive in with first starting understanding what is your customer really asking for, and we see continually where there's a standard PPAP request, here's what it's supposed to look like, and we submit one that has passed at other OEMs, has already passed with this particular customer, and all of a sudden we start getting rejections. And so this is a pretty common issue where we're seeing problems across the network and across the folks who are doing the reviews that aren't asking for the same things every time, want things to look different. This can be really hard for manufacturers as you're trying to understand and trying to get a gauge on exactly what that customer wants and making sure you're delivering to their expectations. So it's really critical up front that you start to work with your customer and do it before the problem hits, before that part is due. Start submitting PPAP paperwork, start working with their supplier quality folks to say, is this what you're looking for? That's why we really recommend when a new PPAP is requested from a customer, we're looking up front to understand exactly what they're looking for. And we're trying to do that before we start making the part. We see too many folks fall into the trap of, hey, we got that part done, but they're looking for a PPAP. You got to go get started on that. That's a really bad place to be for the quality folks, as they get a lot of pressure put on them to deliver documentation, to deliver things really quickly, maybe behind the ball, and maybe they might not even have everything that they need. If you can plan this process up front, which is we really should be doing anyways, then you can streamline it, and as that part is being done, you can have all the necessary components you need for your PPAP and be able to deliver it. Look, we see OEMs ask for things like capability studies when we're making 2 or 3 parts. Things like that become very difficult, and so we have to work with the OEMs to make them understand, hey, here's what we're able to deliver, here's what makes sense, make sure everybody's on the same page before we have this part done and it's sitting waiting on their dock and they say, hey, we can't accept it because we don't have an approved PPAP. I am interested to see, especially in the comments, where people kind of land on charging for PPAPs. This is a cost of quality that OEMs have pushed back a lot on, hey, you're not charging for that. And if your team is not capturing this up front, these become really expensive. We've seen these cost over $10,000 to deliver a full PPAP on some pretty complicated items with a lot of components. And so the dollars add up, and this is all about time, measurement cost, equipment cost, things like that can really add up. And if you're not capturing that, it can really hit your bottom line. So we suggest starting to think about, hey, is there a flat PPAP cost based on the level? Is there an a la carte menu that your customer could pick from and say, hey guys, we can deliver a PSW or we can deliver a first article, but if you need a capability study, that costs this much. And start to recapture some of that cost, because there is a cost to quality, and if your customer is expecting that, they should also expect to fund that side of it. So I would say there is room for pushback, and we're seeing OEMs be a little more able or willing to pay for some of these, but you have to be upfront and be able to push on that. I would be interested to dive in then to what tools are working for people. So as we have tried to help our customers to streamline this process, our end goal is that we get that PPAP to pass on the first time. We deliver it as the part's being delivered, and it's good to go before we're late on a part. So the more that we can get to pass the first time, certainly the less rework that we have. Look, rework counts whether it's on the part or if it's in the paperwork. So all of that costs money and time, and so we're trying to get in front of that. We have a couple tools that we would suggest. Some are ours and some are external tools that we just have found really helpful. So I would start with how are you doing, say, some of your first article, and that's where most of these start. How are you doing your bubble print? How are you collecting the data to go onto a first article report, especially if it's complicated geometry, complicated GD&T symbols that would need to go on to, say, an Excel sheet, and you have to load in. We've been recently working with some software called DISCUS that is able to scan a print, bubble print it, and then layer it into a first article report. That's been really powerful. It also will connect to your CMM. So if your CMM, or if you're getting dimensions right off of there, you can layer it right into the first article report. We've also had customers recently be willing to, or OEMs be willing to accept a CMM report that matches into a bubble print rather than having to actually document it on our first article. And this can be a huge time saver. So working with your OEMs to start to understand, hey, this is just as good and saves us time and money, thus saving you time and money, I think is a really cool way to start getting OEMs to understand there's cost here, and let's work together to drive them out. Some other tools that we like, one is very strong, it's called QI macros, and we use that to help with capability studies, gauge R&R. So when the customers are requesting these, look, we can use Minitab, but a lot of small manufacturers, number one, can't afford it, number two, they use it 2 or 3 times a year and it's tough to understand. If instead we jump into QI macros, which is a plug into Excel, it really helps you to walk through these tools. It's significantly less expensive than Minitab, and our customers are able to dive in and execute with those tools really quickly. The last area that I wanted to dive in with technology is really on how we're trying to use our AI tools to help streamline the PPAP process. And for us, we struggled initially to try and find, okay, what's the application? Because our goal is not to just use AI for the sake of AI. Instead, we're trying to find real efficiencies and real time savers. And so for many job shops, their control plans and their PFMEAs and process flows are really the same from part to part. Except it might only go to 3 of the processes within their building, or 10 of the processes out of the 15 that they have available. Say this one goes to the lathe, but the next one goes to the mill and doesn't have to hit the lathe. And we have a different control plan and FMEA around that. And so we've been able to build some AI tools that take some global FMEA, PFMEAs and control plans, allow the user to select exactly what processes that this job is going to go to, and generate a control plan, an FMEA, and a process flow diagram. Doing that is really strong and can help your team to speed up that side of the process. We always say, hey, I don't think AI is giving you the perfect answer, but it's getting you 80% of the way there, 90% of the way there, and that really would speed your team up rather than have to create a new control plan every time. If we're starting from a good part of the way there, your team's going to be able to deliver that much more quickly. The other area where we're seeing AI is being really strong is on the PPAP review side. And so we built some tools that allow our customers to enter all the items that they're going to upload with a PPAP, select the level of PPAP that they're trying to deliver, and have AI that already is programmed on the guidelines for the PPAP requirements. And it will analyze all those documents, looking for things that are missing, looking for errors, looking for a CPK that doesn't match the customer expectations, all those kind of things. We think this is a really strong tool, especially as you mature and you have problems with your submittals. You're able to continue to tune that tool in, use AI to do that review, and know before you submit it, catch those things before you submit it. So use AI to act as that customer check before you deliver it. So that's been a really strong approach, and we think has really great applications for helping you to pass the PPAP on the first time. So looking back, we always ask, how are you planning with your customer, with your quoting team, with your sales team, to make sure that we're capturing the cost of those PPAPs on the upfront? If you are charging, how are you charging? How are you going to layer in those costs? Are you able to capture the time that your team is spending creating the documentation that the customer is looking for? Because it's really critical that you do. And then what tools are out there? And we like to dive into DISCUS software. How do we speed up the bubble print and the first article process? QI macros. How do we have really successful capability studies, gauge R&Rs when they're appropriate, and do it in a way that's very simple. And then lastly, how can we use AI to start to streamline our processes, check them on the back end, and make sure we're getting really good results. If you have ideas for us, if you have, hey, I would love a PPAP tool, or I would love an AI tool that would help us to do this, drop it in the comments. If you're charging for PPAPs, let's have that discussion. Love to learn more about what other manufacturers are doing and see how we can help build tools for you and for your teams to help get these done faster. This only helps the OEM. This only helps you to get the jobs done and to be successful. So thank you. Looking forward to learning more and working with everybody as we continue to deliver these video sessions. Thanks.